What you are seeing right now is just one of the extremely high skill level speedruns of Darken and Mortar. With precision and reaction speed far above the pack, players like this can run missions in the blink of an eye, leading to epic records, easy rewards, and tons of bragging rights. Today we will be discussing the speedrun scene for Warframe, why you should try it, how to get into it, with builds for you and some tips and tricks that will make even your general gameplay faster than normal. So stay tuned to become a speedy boy. Speedrunning in Warframe has been around forever. In a game about being the strongest, most efficient killer possible, it's only natural that people would end up competing to be faster than the rest of the pack. Outside from the obvious bragging rights that come with being an incredibly fast speedrunner like Darken or Mortar, speedrunning also boasts a range of things that will help you progress incredibly quickly within Warframe. Speedrunning in itself simply means that you'll be receiving rewards faster. Completing missions faster means faster farming, obviously. This can be incredibly great for things like relic farming or opening, but can also be used for things like the sortie, or clearing the star chart, or even the weekly Maru sculpture mission. The transference of skills of being able to speedrun then making you a faster player in general, I feel is something that is really understated. On top of that, speedrunning in general is something that really just adds some great fun competition, which is something that Warframe really misses out on. Having something fun to compete over is lacking within Warframe, and speedrunning really takes the cake. As for who can speedrun, anyone can really. Obviously there are certain builds, gear, or mods that would be essential if you're really going for the world record level runs, but for general speedrunning or while you're just getting into it, you really don't need all that much. A lot of it is in the end comes down to practice. The more you are willing to do so, the better you'll get. However, if you are at a point where you have a fair bit of gear and are looking to optimize it a bit, I'm going to quickly show you the 3 main builds and frames associated with speedrunning categories. Before we do that though, just quickly, if you're enjoying the content or the guide helps you out in any way, don't forget to check that sub button and turn it red to grey. It massively helps the channel and lets me know that you guys want more of this kind of content. A large percentage of people who watch my content aren't subscribed, so if you could check if you are subscribed, that would mean so much. There are 3 main speedrunning frames. For about 99% of the runs you want to be using Titania. However, if you're feeling like being a bit more casual, Wukong is still an amazing pick even after the nerf. Nova also is a popular one, but takes a lot more precise mouse and movement skills. And normally comparing it to Titania, there are only a couple of categories where it would be recommended. We are going to start with the Wukong build purely because I believe that it's a nice, relaxing and easy way to get into speedrunning, and it's something that could help most people speed up missions very easily with very little practice. The general idea of speedrunning with Wukong is using his second ability called Cloudwalker. Cloudwalker is an amazing ability. It turns Wukong into a cloud that moves in the direction of the mouse, which makes it really easy to get around obstacles and strange tiles. So let's go through the build here. We have Sprint Boost as our aura with a Coaction Drift in the Excellence slot to boost the effectiveness of this boost. We also have Armored Agility, Rush and Speed Drift all to increase that sprint speed with just a little bit more. Speed Drift also comes with the bonus of having better casting speed, which is complemented with Natural Talent, which also is casting speed. The reason for this is Wukong's cloud does not last a super long time, and as such you'll be constantly casting this ability. We don't want to waste time, so we simply make that animation as fast as possible. I've also added Streamline here. This is a preference type of thing, but in my opinion it really helps. The last 3 mods are all for duration, and you can see we have Narrow-Minded, Prime Continuity and Constitution, again for reducing the amount of time that we spend waiting for Wukong to cast his 2. We extend how much time he gets out of the cloud with each cloud. From these mods we get roughly 5.4 seconds, which isn't too bad. For Arcanes we want Arcane Energize, as I don't think any build really doesn't have an Energize on it. The second arcane is personal preference. I like to use Consequence simply because I enjoy it, but you can swap it out for whatever you like. I also have a lovely Nova build here for you. Thank you to Darken for supplying the build, as speedrunning with Nova has never been my kind of thing. Nova's speedrun idea is all based around using her portal to quickly teleport anywhere, and in the process have an incredibly high sprint speed and boost. So for the aura we have Sprint Boost with an Excellence of Rush, getting that sprint speed up in between portals. We then use Speed Drift and Armored Agility to boost it a bit further and combine it with Natural Talent like the last build to make the casting animation faster. We use Streamline and Fleeting Expertise here because Nova's portal costs a little bit more than Wukong's too, meaning energy can be an issue and Nova is normally used for longer or more precise speedruns. We then use Stretch to increase the reach of the portals, which is incredibly important. And the last two mods, which are the bread and butter of the build, which are Primed Continuity and Escape Velocity. Escape Velocity is an augment that makes Nova faster when it exits a portal. We use Primed Continuity to actually increase the amount of time that speed boost lasts, which again comes down to speeding things up in between portals. We then use Arcane Energize, obviously, because what build doesn't have it, and Arcane Phantom. Then we have the last and most important in my opinion, I even wrote this down in all capital in my notes. We have Titania. Titania, like I said earlier, is used for a massive majority of speedrun categories, and the reason is simple. She is fast, precise, and can fly through tiles incredibly quickly. Now for the build we have Sprint Boost in the Aura slot. This increases the flight speed just a little bit. And then we pair it with Preparation in the Excellence spot, which also means we never have to have an issue with energy at the beginning of a mission or a run. The bread and butter of this build is Razorwing Blitz, which is the augment for Titania. Razorwing Blitz states that anytime an ability is used while Titania is in her 4th ability, which is the one to fly, Titania will gain a stack. This stack will increase her flight speed and fire rate by a percentage, which is then based on her strength and duration. Titania's stacks are the main part of why she is so good. To jump on this, we have Augur Secrets and Umbral Intensify. These strengths mods can always be changed out for something else if you are struggling with the amount of speed Titania starts putting out. We also have Natural Talent and Speed Drift, which are great for the casting time. Titania's animation to get into her 4 takes some time, so reducing it really helps with speedruns. We then have Primed Continuity and Narrow Minded, which are both there to increase the duration of her stacks as well as to reduce energy usage slightly for her 4th ability. And last but not least, we also have Primed Sure Footed. Now if this doesn't work for you or you don't have it yet, you can always use the Modus mod set, which does almost the same thing, just requiring you to use some slightly different gear. For Arcanes, we have Arcane Velocity for speed and Arcane Nullifier. Now you can always change this depending on what you want to get out of your Titania, or what you're running, but these are the default of this build. Last but not least, if you have access to the Hemleth, a great suggestion is to put Mag's full ability instead of one of Titania's abilities. The reason for this is, like I said about Razorwing Blitz, it gives you a stack when an ability is cast, but it doesn't actually matter what is cast. So using a fast activating ability like Pull saves time on stacks activating and also reduces your energy costs just that little bit. Once you have your build set up and are ready to run, it's time to decide what you would like to run. The general recommendation that most people give is to practice on Ukko in the Void. And the reason being is that Ukko has a 100% chance of relics, so while you're practicing you also get some great rewards. If you want to change or something different, or even want to get some variety with your tile knowledge, there is a massive list of categories on speedrun.com that you can see right now. My suggestion is just to give any that looks interesting a shot, as there isn't any harm in running them. There are categories for every boss fight, every capture, spy mission, sabotage, and even categories for beating entire planets as fast as possible, which is great if you ever want to change. There are so many different things you can run, and you can give them all a try whenever you want. Obviously with speedrunning, getting better and better and achieving better times comes with practice. However, there's some small things, like little tips or tricks, or things not commonly known that could help you. I myself have been speedrunning for maybe a year or so, and the big boys Darken and Mortar have also put in their 2 cents. I thought it would be great to put together a list of different tricks and things we know to help you guys along if you're deciding to get into Warframe speedrunning. If any of these tips help, don't forget to hit that juicy like button. The first thing that all 3 of us kind of want to stress is that Titania is normally the ideal pick for a large majority of speedruns. And unless you have a reason to use another frame, Titania is normally the safe pick. So the first couple of tips are just going to be for Titania users and runners. With Titania, the animation of going into her pixie form with her 4th ability takes time, and obviously speedrunning we are looking at reducing time as much as possible. For some reason with Titania, if you're in the air when you cast her 4th ability, the animation time is actually reduced, which means saving time for your speedruns. So whenever you are getting into Titania's pixie form, whether at the start of a mission or later on, making sure to jump and then press 4 will save time and make the gameplay much more smooth. It's something that is not super commonly known, but something that all speedrunners use. The next tip is something that I personally feel is super important, and I really want to stress this. It may seem counterintuitive, but don't try to go too fast too quickly. Speedrunning has a few elements to it. Obviously movement control and reflexes, but also tile knowledge or map knowledge. A lot of players new to speedrunning will attempt their speedruns with too high of a speed and end up getting much slower times than if they were to be a bit more relaxed. I'm referring mainly to the amount of Titania Razorwing Blitz stacks that I explained during the build section. Every stack you have up to a total of 4 increases your speed, so many that are just starting think that doing all 4 means better times. But in fact, most of the top times and best speedrunners use 2 stacks or maybe even 3. The reason for this is that bonking on a wall with Titania is a massive time loss. A smooth run with no stacks can easily beat a 4 stack run with lots of bonking. So I strongly suggest that when you start out, try and use 1 stack max while you practice, and get used to it. As you feel more comfortable, it's okay to use more. But if you find yourself bonking a lot, then try and reduce the amount of stacks you use and get a bit more practice. You'll be surprised with how much a difference can make with a smooth run compared to bonking all the time. Another thing to try if you seem to be bonking a lot or struggling to control Titania is to make sure that you use your A and D key or left and right movement for those on console to get a little bit more control. The small difference these make can be the difference between hitting an obstacle or breezing past it. More control is always better, so making sure you practice using the side to side movement controls and your mouse is very important. Something else to save time that is only really a tip if you're running Titania is to swap to your operator to capture instead of getting out of Titania's pixie form. Again, talking about the animation time and how it takes time and can slow down a run. While swapping to operator has no animation time and you can immediately get back into pixie form. This is something that may take some practice if you haven't done it before, but it's something that should become a routine for you while doing speedrun. If you are struggling with running or find you keep getting bad times, take a step back for a little bit and go into it with a fresh mind. The top times for speedrun categories are done by people with insane reaction times and top tier movement skills with a ton of practice. Don't expect to get those level of times straight away. It takes time and practice. Honestly, if you can get down to a sub 40-second run, you're already doing better than a large majority of the player base. If you find that you're struggling with a specific tile when it comes around, instead of finishing that mission, go back and practice getting through that single tile smoothly for maybe 10 minutes. You'll be surprised how much easier that tile feels the next time it comes around. Remember that practice makes perfect. All in all, the speedrunning community is absolutely awesome, and it gives a ton of fun. It's something that I personally recommend for new and veteran players alike. It gives that challenge and competition that is really missing from Warframe, and it's always super satisfying to get a smooth run. There is always another category, trick or mode to try, so give them a shot and have some fun. If you have any further questions, feel free to leave a comment here or jump in over on twitch.tv/robostealth, where we play a multitude of games, always willing to answer questions. That's all for today though, much love and Robo out.